Daniel Harper stood at the window of his corner office, 40 stories above Seattle's bustling downtown. The autumn rain traced intricate patterns on the glass, matching his contemplative mood. At 32, he had achieved what most would consider the American dream: CEO of Harper Technologies, one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the Pacific Northwest. Yet on days like this, success felt hollow. His phone buzzed, pulling him from his thoughts. "Mr. Harper, the blood drive team is ready in the conference room." His assistant's voice reminded him through the intercom. "Thanks, Michelle. I'll be right there." Daniel straightened his tie, a habitual gesture that helped him maintain his composed exterior. The company-wide blood drive was his initiative, sparked by a childhood memory of his mother's life being saved by a transfusion. It seemed fitting to use his position to pay that debt forward. The conference room hummed with activity as medical staff set up their stations. Daniel noticed the nervous energy among his employees. Not everyone was comfortable with needles. He made his way to the first available station, rolling up his sleeve. Leading by example had always been his style. "Mr. Harper." The nurse smiled professionally while preparing the collection materials. "Have you donated before?" "Yes, though it's been a while." He settled into the chair, memories of his last donation surfacing. It had been during college, with Isabella. His chest tightened at the thought of her name, even after all these years. The nurse's voice brought him back to the present. "You have resemblance blood, correct? It's noted in your file from your previous donations. That's incredibly rare." Daniel nodded. His unusual blood type had always been a source of fascination for medical professionals. Less than 50 people worldwide shared this characteristic, making each donation precious. "Your donation could save someone's life today," the nurse continued, efficiently inserting the needle. "We have a critical case at Children's Hospital, a young boy who needs this specific blood type." Something about her words caught Daniel's attention. "A child? With renal blood?" "Yes, it's quite remarkable. The odds of finding another person with this blood type, let alone a child." She trailed off, focused on her work. Daniel's analytical mind began turning. The rarity of his blood type had always been explained as a genetic quirk, passed down through his father's side. For another person, a child no less, to share this characteristic. The donation process continued smoothly, but Daniel's thoughts were far from the conference room. He found himself calculating possibilities, remembering dates, and thinking of Isabella. Their relationship had ended abruptly 5 years ago, orchestrated by her father's interference. The timing. "All done, Mr. Harper." The nurse applied pressure to his arm. "This will go directly to Children's Hospital. You've potentially saved a life today." Daniel barely registered her words. "The child at the hospital. Can you tell me anything about them?" "I'm sorry. That would be confidential, but your donation will make a difference." She secured the bandage and handed him a cookie and juice box. Standard post-donation fare that seemed absurdly mundane given the thoughts racing through his mind. Back in his office, Daniel couldn't focus on work. He pulled up his calendar, counting back the years. 5 years since Isabella had disappeared from his life, cut off all contact, and moved away without explanation. The timing aligned perfectly with. His hands shook slightly as he picked up his phone. "Michelle, cancel my afternoon meetings, and get me the contact information for the head of pediatrics at Children's Hospital. It's urgent." "Right away, Mr. Harper." "Should I cite a reason for the meeting?" Daniel stared out at the rain-streaked cityscape. "Tell them it's regarding today's blood donation and a possible genetic match." The rest of the day passed in a blur of phone calls and careful negotiations. Medical privacy laws meant getting information would be challenging, but Daniel's position and resources opened doors. By evening, he had confirmation. The recipient of his blood was a 4-year-old boy named Theo, admitted after a serious fall at Little Angel's orphanage. Daniel sat alone in his darkened office, the city lights below creating a tapestry of illumination, the weight of possibility pressed against his chest. A 4-year-old orphan with his rare blood type, the timing of Isabella's disappearance. The pieces were fitting together to form a picture that both thrilled and terrified him. He pulled out his phone one last time, scrolling to a number he'd never deleted but never dared to call. Isabella's father, Richard Martinez, successful business rival and the man who had orchestrated their separation. His finger hovered over the call button. No, if his suspicions were correct, confronting Richard now would only complicate matters. He needed proof first. He needed to meet Theo. Daniel gathered his coat and briefcase. his mind already formulating a plan. Tomorrow, he would visit Children's Hospital. Tomorrow, he would begin unraveling the truth that had been hidden from him for 5 years. Tomorrow, he might discover he had a son. As he rode the elevator down to the parking garage, Daniel's reflection in the polished doors showed a man transformed, no longer just a successful CEO, but potentially a father searching for answers. The rain had stopped, leaving the air clean and charged with possibility. Like the city itself, Daniel stood on the brink of change, ready to embrace whatever truth awaited him at Children's Hospital. The pristine halls of Seattle Children's Hospital felt worlds away from Daniel's corporate domain. Gone were the sleek glass walls and modern art installations. Here, cheerful murals of woodland creatures guided visitors through the corridors. Daniel clutched the briefcase containing the legal documents he'd had prepared overnight. Medical information requests, court orders if needed, and DNA testing authorizations. Dr. Rebecca Chen's office bore the organized chaos typical of a busy pediatrician. The chief of pediatrics, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and an air of quiet authority, studied Daniel from across her desk. "Mr. Harper, while I appreciate your interest in our patient, I hope you understand the delicacy of this situation." She adjusted her glasses, scanning the documents he'd provided. Theo is in a vulnerable state, both physically and emotionally. Daniel leaned forward, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "I understand completely, Dr. Chen, but if what I suspect is true, if Theo is my son, then every day that passes is another day lost." "You mentioned Theo's mother, Isabella Martinez." Dr. Chen referenced her notes. "And you believe she was unaware of your connection when she placed him for adoption?" "Yes." The word carried the weight of 5 years of regret. "Her father orchestrated our separation before she could tell me about the pregnancy. I only learned about Theo because of the blood donation match." Dr. Chen's expression softened. "The Rh null blood type correlation is certainly compelling. It's extraordinarily rare, and given the timing," she paused, considering. "Theo's fall was serious. He suffered a concussion and internal bleeding. Your donation quite literally saved his life. How is he now?" Daniel's throat tightened at the thought of his potential son lying injured and alone. "Recovering well, though he's understandably shaken. The orphanage reported he fell from a playground structure, but..." Dr. Chen hesitated. "There are aspects of the accident that concern us." Daniel's protective instincts flared. "Well, what aspects?" "The timing and location of the fall don't quite align with the orphanage's report. We've notified Child Protective Services to investigate." She studied Daniel's reaction carefully. "Mr. Harper, if you are indeed Theo's biological father, you should know he's been through significant trauma. He's withdrawn, speaks very little, and shows signs of emotional neglect." Daniel's hands clenched involuntarily. "I want to see him. Please." "Doctor." Chen stood. "Follow me. But remember, right now, you're just a visitor. No mentions of possible relations until we have confirmation and proper protocols in place." They walked through the pediatric ward, passing rooms filled with the beeping of monitors and soft conversations. Daniel's designer shoes squeaked against the linoleum floors, marking each step toward a moment that could change his life forever. Room 412 was decorated with space-themed wallpaper, stars and planets creating a whimsical backdrop for the serious medical equipment. In the bed, looking smaller than his 4 years, lay a boy with dark curls and fair skin. He was focused intently on a worn paperback book, his small fingers tracing the words he couldn't yet read. Daniel's heart stopped. The child's profile, the shape of his nose, the slight furrow of concentration between his brows, was like looking at his own childhood photos. "Theo?" Dr. Chen spoke softly. "You have a visitor. This is Mr. Harper. He donated the special blood that helped you get better." Theo looked up, and Daniel found himself staring into eyes that matched his own unusual shade of hazel. The boy's gaze was wary, assessing, showing a caution no 4-year-old should have to possess. "Hello, Theo." Daniel's voice came out gentle, fighting past the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "I heard you like books." A slight nod, followed by Theo hugging the book closer to his chest. "May I?" Daniel gestured to the chair beside the bed. Another small nod. Daniel settled into the chair, conscious of maintaining a non-threatening presence. "That looks like an interesting story you have there. Would you like to tell me about it?" Theo studied him for a long moment before slowly turning the book to show the cover, "Where the Wild Things Are." The corners were dog-eared, the spine cracked from frequent reading. "That's one of my favorites." Daniel smiled. "Would you like me to read it to you?" For the first time, a flicker of interest crossed Theo's face. He extended the book cautiously, maintaining his grip until he was sure of Daniel's careful handling of his treasure. Daniel began to read, his voice soft but animated, bringing the story of Max and his wild rumpus to life. As he read, he noticed Theo gradually relaxing, inch by inch moving closer to the edge of his bed to see the illustrations. By the time Max sailed back to find his supper still hot, Theo had edged close enough that Daniel could see a small scar above his right eyebrow. Recent, probably from the fall, the sight made his chest ache with a fierce protectiveness he'd never experienced before. "Thank you," Theo whispered as Daniel closed the book, the first words he'd spoken during the visit. "You're very welcome." Daniel resisted the overwhelming urge to reach out and smooth those wild curls. "Would it be okay if I came back tomorrow? Maybe we could read another story." Theo's eyes darted to Dr. Chen, then back to Daniel. Another small nod, this one accompanied by the ghost of a smile. As Daniel prepared to leave, Theo's voice surprised him again. "Mr. Harper, did the wild things in your book ever get scared?" Daniel turned back, choosing his words carefully. "Yes, sometimes they did, but they were brave, and they had friends to help them be brave too." "Oh," Theo absorbed this, his small face serious. "Okay." In the hallway, Dr. Chen touched Daniel's arm. "I've expedited the DNA testing authorization. We should have results within 48 hours. Daniel nodded, his eyes still on the door to room 412. "I'll be back tomorrow, with more books." "Mr. Harper," Dr. Chen's voice stopped him. "And whatever the test results show, that little boy needs someone in his corner. The system has failed him so far." "He has someone now," Daniel replied, his voice firm with conviction. "Whether he's my son or not, he has someone now." As Daniel walked back to his car, his phone buzzed with messages from the office. Meetings missed, decisions pending, the endless demands of corporate life. None of it seemed to matter anymore. His world had shifted on its axis, reorienting around a small hospital room and a little boy with his eyes who needed someone to be brave for him. The 48 hours following Daniel's first visit to Theo felt like the longest of his life. He'd returned each day with new books, watching his son. He couldn't help thinking of Theo that way now, slowly emerge from his shell. But beneath their shared story times, tension coiled in his chest as he waited for the DNA results that would change everything. When his private line rang on Wednesday morning, Daniel's hand trembled slightly as he answered. Dr. Chen's voice came through, clear and professional. "The results are in, Mr. Harper. Could you come to my office?" The drive to the hospital passed in a blur. Seattle's notorious traffic seemed to part before him, or maybe he just didn't notice the delays. His mind raced with possibilities, preparations, and plans he'd spent 2 sleepless nights formulating. Dr. Chen was waiting in her office, a manila envelope on her desk. Her expression gave nothing away as Daniel took his seat. "Before we discuss the results," she began, "I want to update you on Theo's case. Child Protective Services has launched a full investigation into Little Angel's orphanage. They've found irregularities." Daniel's jaw tightened. What kind of irregularities? Missing documentation, inconsistent accident reports, and most concerning, a pattern of children being placed through unofficial channels. She met his gaze directly. "We can't find any record of Isabella Martinez ever formally surrendering Theo for adoption." The implications hit Daniel like a physical blow. "Are you saying someone falsified the paperwork? Theo's placement at Little Angel's wasn't legal." She opened the envelope, removing a single sheet of paper. "And now we know why they might have gone to such lengths to hide his origins. The DNA test confirms it, Mr. Harper. Theo is your biological son. Despite having suspected, known, really, since he first saw Theo's eyes, the confirmation made Daniel's world tilt on its axis. He reached for the test results with unsteady hands, scanning the numbers and percentages that proved what his heart had already told him. "I've already contacted family court," he said, forcing his voice to remain steady. "My lawyers have prepared emergency custody petitions. Given the circumstances with the orphanage, CPS will support your petition," Dr. Chen assured him. But Daniel, her use of his first name made him look up. Finding Isabella needs to be a priority. If she never legally surrendered her rights, she wouldn't have abandoned him, Daniel said firmly. "I knew her. Whatever happened, whatever her father told her, Isabella would never have willingly given up our child. The weight of 5 lost years pressed down on him. 5 years of his son in an orphanage. 5 years of Isabella believing what? What lies had Richard Martinez spun to separate them so completely? A knock interrupted his thoughts. Dr. Chen's assistant entered with another file. The records you requested from Little Angels, doctor. And there's something else. A woman has been calling the hospital repeatedly, asking about Theo. She won't leave her name, but Daniel stood so quickly his chair scraped against the floor. Did they trace the calls? They came from Boston, the assistant confirmed, but the numbers blocked. Boston, Daniel's mind raced. Richard Martinez had business interests there. Could Isabella have seen news of the accident? Of his blood donation? I need to make some calls. He turned to Dr. Chen. When can Theo be discharged? Medically, he's ready, but transitioning him to a new home needs to be handled carefully. He's been through significant trauma. Daniel nodded, already pulling out his phone. Michelle, I need you to clear my schedule for the next month, and contact Madison Real Estate. I want to see every house available within 10 minutes of Seattle Children's. 4 bedrooms minimum, secure grounds, child-friendly. He ended the call, meeting Dr. Chen's concerned gaze. I'm converting my guest room tonight, but I want a proper home ready as soon as possible. Something that feels permanent. You seem very certain the court will grant custody. They will. Daniel's voice held no doubt. And when they do, I want Theo to have stability. A room of his own, a yard, everything he should have had these past 5 years. He paused, adding quietly, everything Isabella and I should have given him. Dr. Chen studied him for a moment before nodding. The child psychiatrist will want to meet with you, and you'll need to attend parenting classes. It's standard for first-time custodial parents. Schedule everything. I'll make it work. Daniel checked his watch. Is Theo awake? I brought a Stuart Little today. Go ahead. But Daniel? She held his gaze. Take it slow. Building trust takes time. Daniel found Theo sitting up in bed, pushing breakfast around his plate. The boy's face brightened slightly at his arrival, a small change that meant everything. Hey buddy, not hungry? Theo shrugged, then asked in his quiet voice, story time? Of course. Daniel settled into what he'd come to think of as his chair. But first, I wanted to ask you something important. How would you feel about coming to live with me when you're better? Theo's fork clattered against his plate. His eyes, so like Daniel's own, went wide with a mix of hope and fear that no child should know. Forever. The word caught in Daniel's chest like a physical ache. That's the plan. Would you like that? Theo studied him with that too-old gaze. Will I have to go back? To the other place? Never. Daniel let every ounce of conviction he possessed fill that single word. I promise you, Theo. Never again. Small fingers twisted in the hospital blanket. Can I bring my books? All of them. And we'll get more. We'll build you a whole library if you want. A tiny smile, like sunshine breaking through clouds. Okay. Daniel's phone buzzed. His lawyer, probably with custody paperwork. But for now, he just pulled out Stuart Little and began to read, watching his son's face light up at the adventures of a brave little mouse in a big world. Later, in the hospital parking lot, Daniel made 2 calls. The first was to a private investigator he trusted, with instructions to trace those calls from Boston and find any trace of Isabella Martinez. The second was to his head of security, requesting immediate background checks on every employee of Little Angel's orphanage. As rain began to fall, Daniel looked back at the hospital window where he knew Theo was sleeping. I'll find her, he promised softly. I'll find your mom and I'll make this right. For all of us. Daniel stood in the doorway of what had been his home office, now transformed into a child's bedroom. The walls, hastily repainted a warm blue, caught the morning light streaming through wide windows. A twin bed with rocket ship sheets occupied one corner, while a bookshelf, already filled with carefully chosen titles, dominated another wall. A nightlight shaped like the moon cast subtle stars across the ceiling. The security system installation is complete, Mr. Harper, announced Frank Matthews, his head of security, from behind him. Motion sensors, cameras, and direct line to local law enforcement. Nobody gets near this floor without us knowing. Daniel nodded, his mind already racing through additional precautions. And the background checks? Just came in. Frank's expression darkened as he handed over a tablet. You're going to want to sit down for this. Daniel moved to the living room, scanning the document displayed on the screen. With each paragraph, his jaw tightened. Little Angel's orphanage had connections to a network of illegal adoptions spanning 3 states. More disturbing were the financial transfers, regular payments from offshore accounts linked to shell companies. Look at the dates. Frank pointed to a specific transaction. The first payment came through 2 days after Theo's arrival at Little Angel's. Can we trace the source? Working on it. But here's where it gets interesting. Frank swiped to another document. Remember those calls from Boston? They weren't just to the hospital. Similar calls were made to Little Angels over the past 4 years, all from different numbers, all blocked. Each time, the orphanage received a substantial payment shortly after. Daniel's mind raced with implications. Someone was paying them to keep Theo there, to prevent him from being adopted, and to report on anyone showing unusual interest in him. Frank hesitated. There's more. We found these in their digital archives. The next images made Daniel's blood run cold. Photographs of himself and Isabella from their college days, but subtly altered. In one, he appeared to be intimately embracing another woman. In another, he was leaving an expensive jewelry store with a blonde companion, all carefully dated, all expertly manipulated. Professional work, Frank commented. Whoever did this had resources. Richard Martinez had resources, Daniel corrected, his voice hard, and a reputation for using them to eliminate threats to his business empire. He stood, pacing the room. He didn't just separate us. He made sure Isabella would never want to find me. His phone chimed with a text from Dr. Chen. Theo asking for you? Good day for a walk in the garden? Daniel's anger softened at the thought of his son. I keep digging, he told Frank. I want everything. Every payment, every call, every connection to Martinez. And Frank, double the security detail when Theo comes home. At the hospital, Daniel found Theo dressed in new pajamas, robots and spaceships, chosen from the collection Daniel had delivered yesterday. The boy's face lit up at his arrival, then quickly tried to hide his excitement behind careful reserve. Ready for an adventure? Daniel asked, holding up a child-sized robe and slippers. Dr. Chen says we can explore the garden today. Theo nodded eagerly, then paused. Will you carry me? Of course, buddy. Daniel's heart squeezed at the trust implied in that simple request. He helped Theo into the robe and gathered him carefully in his arms, mindful of healing bruises. The hospital's rooftop garden was a peaceful oasis, designed to give young patients a safe taste of the outdoors. As they settled on a bench near a small fountain, Theo remained close to Daniel's side. I visited your new room today, Daniel mentioned casually. Would you like to hear about it? Theo's fingers twisted in his robe. Is it near your room? Right next door. And guess what? The ceiling has stars that light up at night. Real stars. Magic ones. They'll help keep the dark away. Daniel watched his son process this. Are you scared of the dark, Theo? A small nod. The basement was dark. At the other place, Daniel's protective instincts flared. Did someone put you in the basement? When I was bad? Theo's voice had gone almost whisper quiet. Or when the ladies came to look at other kids. Each word felt like a knife in Daniel's chest. That won't ever happen again, he promised, fighting to keep his voice steady. No more basements, no more hiding. And Theo, you weren't bad. The adults who hurt you, they were the bad ones. Theo leaned slightly closer. Promise? I promise. And you know what else? In your new room, you can have as many lights on as you want. Even during the day. A ghost of a smile touched Theo's lips. Can I have books in bed? As many as you can read. Daniel pulled out his phone, showing Theo pictures of the room. See, your very own bookshelf. And look, there's a special chair just for reading. As Theo studied the photos with growing interest, Daniel's other phone, his secure line, vibrated in his pocket. The text was from his private investigator in Boston. Found her. Isabella Martinez spotted at Massachusetts General Hospital. She's a pediatric resident. Daniel's heart raced. A pediatrician. Of course she would choose to help children. The same protective instinct that had led him to organize blood drives had guided her career choice. What's wrong? Theo's question brought Daniel back to the present. Those familiar eyes studied him with concern. Nothing's wrong, Daniel assured him, tucking the phone away. I just found out something that made me very happy. Someone I lost a long time ago. I think I might be able to find her again. Like Stuart Little found his bird. Daniel smiled at the reference to yesterday's story. Exactly like that. Sometimes people get lost, but it doesn't mean they stop caring. Theo considered this. In my dream, sometimes there's a lady. She sings to me. His voice dropped to a whisper. I think she was crying. Daniel pulled his son closer, letting Theo's head rest against his chest. Would you like to hear a story about that lady? About your mom? A tiny nod. She has a beautiful smile. Daniel began softly. And she loves books. Just like you. When she laughs, it sounds like music. As he wove the story of meeting Isabella in college, carefully edited for 4-year-old ears, Daniel watched his son's eyes grow heavy. By the time he described Isabella's talent for finding shapes in clouds, Theo was asleep in his arms. Daniel's secure phone buzzed again. Video footage from Mass General confirms. She's been searching hospital records across the country. Pattern suggests she's looking for someone. She's looking for you, Daniel whispered to his sleeping son. She never stopped looking for you. He gazed across the Seattle skyline, toward the East Coast where Isabella was building her own life, unaware that their son was finally safe. And I'm going to make sure she finds us. The morning of Theo's discharge from the hospital dawned clear and crisp, a rare break in Seattle's autumn rains. Daniel arrived early, carrying a small backpack decorated with dinosaurs, a suggestion from Dr. Chen about giving Theo something that was exclusively his. Remember what we discussed? Dr. Chen reminded him as they waited for the discharge paperwork. Establish routines immediately. Children who've experienced trauma need predictability. Daniel nodded, reviewing the schedule they'd created together. Breakfast at 7, afternoon rest at 2, bedtime story at 8. No unexpected visitors, no sudden changes. And the child psychologist, Dr. Patterson, will visit tomorrow afternoon. We've converted the den into a therapy space. Daniel checked his watch. The security team did another sweep of the apartment this morning, and I've hired a child safety consultant to do a final check today. Dr. Chen smiled. You've thought of everything. But Daniel, her expression grew serious. The most important thing you can give him right now is patience. There will be setbacks. Before Daniel could respond, a nurse appeared with Theo in a wheelchair. Hospital policy for discharge. The boy clutched his beloved copy of Where the Wild Things Are to his chest, eyes darting nervously between the adults. Daniel knelt beside the wheelchair. Ready to go home, buddy? Theo's small fingers tightened on the book. With you? With me? Daniel presented the dinosaur backpack. Look what I brought you. Watching Theo cautiously explore the backpack's pockets, Daniel's phone vibrated with an encrypted message from his investigator. Martinez Industries showing unusual activity. Large funds being moved offshore. Surveillance indicates Richard Martinez planning immediate travel to Switzerland. Daniel's jaw tightened. Richard was running. The question was, from what? Mr. Harper? Theo's quiet voice brought him back to the moment. Can I bring my hospital bear? Of course. And guess what? There might be some new bear friends waiting at home. The drive home was quiet, Theo taking in the city views with wide eyes from his new booster seat. Daniel watched him in the rearview mirror, noting how the boy's hand occasionally reached out to touch the window, as if confirming the reality of the world beyond. In the apartment's private elevator, Theo pressed closer to Daniel's leg. Is it very high? The penthouse is pretty high up, Daniel admitted, but you can see the whole city, and at night, it looks like a sea of stars. The elevator opened directly into the apartment's foyer, where Michelle waited with a gentle smile. Welcome home, Theo. Would you like to see your room? Theo looked to Daniel for reassurance before nodding. Daniel led him down the hallway, past top-of-the-line security cameras disguised as modern art installations. The room transformation was complete. Besides the bed and bookshelf, there was now a cozy reading nook with beanbags, a desk sized perfectly for a 4-year-old, and, most importantly, a state-of-the-art night lighting system that could gradually shift from full brightness to a gentle glow. This is mine. Theo's voice held wonder and disbelief. All yours. Daniel watched as his son took tentative steps into the space. Want to see something special? He pressed a button, and the ceiling came alive with constellations. Theo's gasp of delight made something in Daniel's chest squeeze tight. Stars, like you said. And look. Daniel opened the closet to reveal new clothes, toys and a special shelf for his books. There's room for everything you want to keep safe. Theo's expression shifted suddenly, worry clouding his features. What if What if I have to leave? Daniel knelt to meet his son's eyes. This is your home now, Theo. Forever. Nothing and no one will change that. His phone buzzed again. Frank this time. New intelligence. Martinez didn't just fake photos. Found evidence of systematic harassment of anyone who could have connected you to Isabella. Multiple victims. Daniel's blood ran cold. How many lives had Richard Martinez destroyed to keep his secret? Can we? Theo's hesitant voice pulled him back. Can we read a story? Always. Daniel settled into the reading chair, helping Theo climb up beside him. As they began another adventure of Stuart Little, his encrypted phone lit up with another message. Isabella's hospital records accessed multiple times in past month. Someone tracking her movements. Martinez's people. Daniel tightened his arm around Theo protectively. Richard Martinez wasn't just running. He was trying to tie up loose ends, which meant Isabella could be in danger. Mr. Harper, Theo's small voice interrupted his thoughts. Your heart's beating really fast. Daniel forced himself to relax. Just excited to be reading with you, buddy. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. Stuart was about to race his sailboat. The rest of the day passed in a careful routine. Lunch in the sunny kitchen nook, where Theo discovered he liked strawberries but remained suspicious of sandwiches cut in unfamiliar shapes. A quiet exploration of his new home, with Daniel close by but letting him set the pace. A nap in the reading nook, surrounded by soft pillows and gentle starlight. By evening, Daniel had received 3 more encrypted messages about Richard Martinez's activities. The pattern was clear. The man was liquidating assets, severing connections, preparing to disappear, but not, Daniel suspected, before ensuring his secrets disappeared too. As he tucked Theo into bed that night, surrounded by the soft glow of constellation lights, Daniel made a decision. He couldn't wait any longer to contact Isabella. Richard's mounting desperation made every day dangerous. One more story, Theo pleaded sleepily. One more, Daniel agreed, choosing a book about a family of bears finding their way home through a dark forest. As he read, his mind raced with plans. Tomorrow, while Dr. Patterson worked with Theo, he would set things in motion. His legal team would file for emergency custody. His security team would establish surveillance on Isabella in Boston, and he would begin the delicate process of reaching out to her, not through intermediaries this time, but directly. They found their way home, Theo murmured as the story ended, fighting to keep his eyes open. Yes, they did. Daniel smoothed his son's wild curls. Sometimes it takes a while, but families always find their way back to each other. Theo drifted off to sleep, clutching his hospital bear. Daniel stood in the doorway, watching the gentle rise and fall of his son's chest. On his phone, one final message blinked. Martinez booked private flight to Zurich. Departs in 48 hours. The countdown had begun. Somewhere in Boston, Isabella was working her hospital shift, unaware that her father was preparing to flee the country, or that her son was finally safe, or that Daniel was about to upend her world again. Sleep tight, little one, Daniel whispered. Tomorrow we start bringing your mom home. Daniel watched through the one-way glass as Dr. Patterson worked with Theo in the converted therapy room. His son sat cross-legged on a plush rug, carefully arranging wooden blocks into intricate patterns. The child psychologist had explained that such ordering behaviors were common in children seeking control over their environment. He's processing remarkably well, Dr. Patterson had told him earlier, but there are deep-seated fears we'll need to address, the basement incidents, especially. Now, watching Theo methodically sort blocks by color, Daniel's phone buzzed with an urgent update from his Boston team. Martinez's security detail spotted at Mass General. They're watching her. Daniel's hand tightened on his phone. Richard's flight to Zurich was scheduled for tomorrow morning. Whatever he was planning regarding Isabella, it would happen soon. Mr. Harper, Michelle appeared at his elbow. Your legal team is ready for the conference call. In his home office, Daniel faced a wall of screens showing his attorneys in Seattle, Boston, and New York. The lead counsel, Victoria Chen, spoke first. We've prepared the emergency custody filing, she reported. Given the evidence of adoption fraud and your DNA confirmation, the court should act quickly. However, she paused, choosing her words carefully. The situation with Dr. Martinez complicates things. Isabella, Daniel corrected automatically. She's not just Dr. Martinez anymore. Dr. Isabella Martinez, Victoria amended. Never legally terminated her parental rights. The documents filed with little angels were forged. This means she retains full maternal rights to Theo. Good. Daniel's voice was firm. That's exactly as it should be. Mr. Harper, while I appreciate your personal history with Dr. Martinez, and from a legal standpoint, from every standpoint, Daniel interrupted, Theo needs his mother. My priority is protecting both of them from Richard Martinez. Now, what's our next step? The Boston attorney cleared his throat. We've prepared a preliminary injunction to prevent Richard Martinez from leaving the country, but we need evidence of criminal intent. Check your secure emails, Daniel instructed. Frank's team just sent proof of Martinez's connection to Little Angel's illegal adoption network, and there's more, evidence of systematic harassment, witness intimidation, and financial fraud spanning 5 years. As the attorneys digested the new information, Daniel's secure phone lit up with a message that made his heart stop. Isabella just received hand-delivered letter at hospital. Martinez's courier confirmed. I have to go. Daniel cut off the legal discussion. File everything immediately, and get that injunction ready. In the therapy room, Theo had progressed from blocks to drawing. Daniel watched as his son carefully added stars to what appeared to be a night sky. He's drawing his new bedroom ceiling, Dr. Patterson explained softly. It's becoming a safe space for him. Daniel's phones buzzed simultaneously. Frank with a message about increased movement around Martinez Industries, and his Boston team with an urgent update. Isabella left hospital abruptly after reading letter, heading home, Martinez's men following. I need to make a call, Daniel told Dr. Patterson. A very important one, can you? We'll be fine, she assured him. Take your time. In his office, Daniel stared at the phone number his team had obtained for Isabella. 5 years of silence stretched between them, filled with lies and manipulation. Taking a deep breath, he dialed. 1 ring, 2, 3. Hello? Her voice, slightly breathless but unmistakably Isabella's, sent a jolt through his system. Bella. The old nickname slipped out before he could stop it. Don't hang up, please. A sharp intake of breath. Then, barely whispered, Daniel. Yes. Listen carefully. You're in danger. Your father's men are following you. How dare you? Her voice shook with fury, and something else. Fear. After everything. And now you're tracking me. Your father lied to you. About everything. About me, about that summer. And most importantly, about our son. Silence. Then, don't you dare. His name is Theo, Daniel continued quickly. He's 4 years old. He has your curls in my eyes. He loves books, especially where the wild things are. And right now, he's drawing stars because the ceiling in his new bedroom reminds him of the night sky. A choked sound, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. How? He's here with me in Seattle. He needed a blood transfusion after an accident. My blood type matched. Rate null. Just like his. The orphanage said. Isabella's voice cracked. They told me he was adopted immediately. By a family in Europe. Your father arranged everything. The fake adoption, the forged documents, the doctored photos of me with other women. He's been paying people to keep Theo hidden and to keep you away from me. No, Isabella whispered. He wouldn't. Check your accounts, Bella. The trust fund he used to control you. I bet he's already trying to empty it. He's running, flight to Zurich tomorrow morning. A long pause. Then, the sound of rapid typing. When Isabella spoke again, her voice was ice. The accounts, they're being drained. Emergency transfers initiated this morning. He knows we found Theo. Knows everything's about to come out. Bella, please. You need to get somewhere safe. Right now. I thought, her voice broke. He said you knew. That you wanted nothing to do with our baby. He showed me pictures. Lies. All of it. I never knew you were pregnant. Never knew about Theo until last week. Daniel's voice softened. He's amazing, Bella. So brave, so smart. And he dreams about you. Says sometimes in his sleep he hears a lady singing. A sob escaped her. I used to sing to him. Every night before they took him. They said it was for the best. That as a single medical student I couldn't. Bella, listen to me. There are men watching your apartment right now. I have a security team ready to extract you, but you need to follow their instructions exactly. My father's men won't touch you. Not on my watch. Not ever again. Daniel's voice hardened with promise. But you need to trust me. One last time. A moment of silence stretched between them. 5 years of pain and lies hanging in the balance. Okay, she whispered finally. Tell me what to do. As Daniel relayed instructions to get Isabella safely to his waiting security team, his other phone buzzed with an alert from the therapy room. He looked up to see Theo showing Dr. Patterson his completed drawing, a night sky full of stars, and below them, 3 figures holding hands. That's me, he heard Theo explain through the monitor. And that's my dad. And that's the lady who sings. Dad says she's coming home soon. She is, Daniel whispered, watching his son while coordinating Isabella's escape on 2 phones. She's coming home to us, buddy. I promise. The next 6 hours became a carefully orchestrated dance of precision and timing. Daniel stood at his office window, one phone connected to his Boston security team, the other maintaining intermittent contact with Isabella as she followed their extraction plan. A target vehicle has passed checkpoint 3 DARS, reported Frank's second-in-command in Boston. Martinez's men took the bait. They're following the decoy. Daniel checked the tactical map on his tablet, watching the blinking dots that represented Isabella's true location, and the decoy vehicle meant to distract her father's surveillance team. Where is she now? Approaching Logan Airport through the service entrance. Private hangar secured. Wheels up in 40 minutes. A soft knock interrupted. Michelle entered, her expression concerned. Mr. Harper, Theo's asking for you. He's having a difficult moment. Daniel found Theo curled in his reading nook, tears streaming silently down his face. Dr. Patterson sat nearby, maintaining a careful distance. He had a flashback during our session, she explained quietly, about the basement. Daniel's heart clenched as he knelt beside his son. Hey, buddy, rough day? Theo launched himself into Daniel's arms, something he'd never done before. Don't let them take me back, he whispered. Please, don't let them. Never, Daniel promised, holding him close. You're safe now. No one will ever hurt you again. His secure phone vibrated. A message from the Boston team. Problem. Richard Martinez just arrived at Logan, private terminal. Daniel's mind raced. Richard's flight to Zurich wasn't scheduled until morning, unless his other phone rang. Isabella. He knows, she said without preamble, her voice tight with fear. Somehow he figured it out. He's here. Stay with the security team, Daniel instructed. We're changing plans. New hangar, new route. Daniel. Isabella's voice caught. If he catches me, he won't. Daniel held Theo closer, drawing strength from his son's presence. I won't let him hurt either of you ever again. After assuring Theo was calm and back with Dr. Patterson, Daniel returned to his office for an emergency conference with his legal team. The injunction came through, Victoria reported. Local law enforcement has been notified. If Richard Martinez attempts to leave the country, he'll be detained. He's not trying to leave, Daniel realized. He's trying to stop Isabella from reaching us. From testifying about what he did, we've found more, another attorney added. The network goes deeper than Little Angels. There are other orphanages, other families. Send everything to the FBI, Daniel ordered. Now, his Boston team reported again. Subject secured in secondary location. Martinez's men searching primary hangar. Daniel's fingers flew over his keyboard, accessing the private airport's security feeds. He watched Richard Martinez stride through the terminal, flanked by security, his usual polished appearance showing signs of strain. Sir, Frank's voice cut in. Martinez just made a call. Our intercept picked up a name. Reynolds. Daniel's blood ran cold. Maxwell Reynolds was Richard's fixer, the man responsible for the falsified photos that had convinced Isabella of Daniel's betrayal. Find Reynolds, he ordered. Now, 20 minutes later, all hell broke loose. Fire alarm triggered in main terminal, reported the Boston team. Security protocols disrupted. We've lost visual on Martinez. Daniel's phone lit up with Isabella's call. Daniel, they're here. Reynolds, he found us. Move, Daniel ordered, already pulling up alternate extraction routes. Back stairs, service corridor. Frank's team will meet you at Point Charlie. He could hear her running, her breathing harsh in his ear. In the background, shouts echoed off concrete walls. The door's locked, Isabella gasped. They've sealed the emergency exits. Third panel on the left wall, Daniel directed, remembering the building schematics. Maintenance access. The code is 5591. Seconds stretched like hours as he listened to her fumble with the keypad. Then, I'm through. New shouts. Closer now. The sound of running feet. Daniel! Theo's small voice made him turn. His son stood in the doorway, clutching his bear. Are you scared? Your face looks scared. Before Daniel could respond, Isabella's voice cut through his phone. Oh God. Bella, what's happening? Dad, she whispered. He's here. Daniel's security feed finally reconnected, showing him the scene. Isabella in a maintenance corridor. Richard Martinez blocking her path. Reynolds approaching from behind. Come home, Isabella. Richard's voice carried through the phone. You're confused. These people, they're manipulating you. Like you manipulated me. Isabella's voice was steel. How many others, Dad? How many families did you destroy? Everything I did was to protect you. You stole my son. The raw anguish in her cry made Theo flinch. Daniel moved to shield him from the phone's audio, but his son pushed closer. Is that, Theo whispered, is that my mom? Through the security feed, Daniel watched Richard take a step toward Isabella. That child was a mistake. He would have ruined your future, just like Harper would have ruined you. I fixed it. You broke it. Isabella's voice shook. You broke everything. Sir, Frank's voice cut through another line. FBI teams in position. Do we move? Daniel looked at Theo, saw the fear and hope warring in his eyes. Yes, he ordered. Now. Through the feed, he watched FBI agents swarm the corridor from both ends. Richard's face contorted with rage as he was surrounded. Reynolds tried to run but was quickly subdued. Target secured, reported Frank. Dr. Martinez is safe, en route to secondary extraction point. Daniel sank to his knees, gathering Theo close. It's okay, he whispered. Mom's safe. She's coming home. When? Theo's voice was small but steady. Daniel checked the newest message from his team. Private jet cleared for takeoff. ETA Seattle. 3 hours. Soon, buddy. He smiled through tears he hadn't realized were falling. Very soon. In the background, his phones buzzed with updates. FBI agents discovering documents in Richard's briefcase. Reynolds confessing to years of illegal activities. Richard Martinez being led away in handcuffs, his empire crumbling. But Daniel focused only on his son. On the way, Theo's small hands gripped his shirt as if anchoring them both to this moment. Will she like me? Theo whispered against his chest. She already loves you, Daniel assured him. She never stopped loving you. And now, he pulled back to meet his son's eyes, seeing hope replace fear. Now we get to be a real family. Theo's smile, small but real, felt like sunrise after the longest night. Can we make her room have stars too? All the stars she wants, Daniel promised. And maybe, he brushed Theo's wild curls back. Maybe she can teach us both her special songs. As the sun set over Seattle, father and son stood at the window, watching planes cross the darkening sky, waiting for the one that would bring their family full circle at last. The private terminal at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport was silent except for the soft hum of climate control and Theo's whispered questions. What if she doesn't like my bear? What if she doesn't like my drawings? Daniel knelt before his son, straightening the small collar of his favorite rocket ship shirt. She'll love everything about you, buddy, just like I do. His phone buzzed with updates about Richard Martinez's arraignment in Boston, but Daniel ignored them. Tonight wasn't about Richard or his crimes. Tonight was about healing. Flight NX-227 entering final approach, announced the terminal's intercom. Theo's hand tightened in Daniel's. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, they watched the private jet's lights pierce the misty Seattle night, descending gracefully toward the runway. Remember what Dr. Patterson said? Daniel Gentle reminded his son. We take things slow, no pressure. But Theo's attention was fixed on the aircraft now taxiing toward them. His other hand clutched the drawing he'd insisted on bringing, the night sky full of stars. With 3 figures holding hands beneath, the jet's stairs descended, and Daniel's heart stopped. Isabella appeared in the doorway, her dark curls, so like Theo's, wind-blown from the flight. She paused at the top of the stairs, one hand gripping the railing as if for support. Their eyes met across the distance, 5 years of pain and longing suspended between them. Then Isabella's gaze shifted to Theo, and Daniel heard her soft gasp even through the terminal's thick windows. She descended slowly, each step measured, as if afraid sudden movement would shatter the moment. The terminal doors opened, and she stood before them, trembling. Hi, she whispered, her eyes never leaving Theo's face. Theo pressed against Daniel's leg but didn't hide. "You look like my drawing," he said softly. Isabella sank to her knees, keeping a careful distance. "May I see it?" Theo looked up at Daniel, who nodded encouragingly. Slowly, he extended the paper toward his mother. Isabella's hands shook as she took it. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she studied the three figures under the stars. "It's beautiful," she managed. "You drew this?" A tiny nod. "Dad helped me with the stars. We have stars on our ceiling now." "You do?" Her voice was gentle, encouraging. "They keep the dark away." Theo took a small step forward. Dad says you used to sing songs." A sob caught in Isabella's throat. "I did. Every night before." She swallowed hard. "Would you like to hear one?" Another small step forward. "The lady in my dreams sings soft songs. Like this." Isabella began to hum softly. A lullaby Daniel remembered her saying her grandmother had taught her. Theo's eyes widened. "That's it. That's the dream song." He moved closer, wonder replacing caution. "How did you know?" "Because I sang it to you every night before you were born," Isabella explained, her voice thick with tears. "And every night after, until the bad people took me away." Theo's direct question made both adults flinch. "Yes, my love." Isabella's hands twisted together, restraining herself from reaching out. "But I never stopped singing it. I never stopped hoping I'd find you." Theo studied her face intently. "Did you look for me?" "Every day." Isabella met his gaze steadily. "In every hospital, every city, I never stopped looking." "Dad found me," Theo said. "He gave me special blood when I was hurt." "He did." Isabella's eyes met Daniel's. Years of misunderstanding dissolving in shared pain and purpose. "Your dad is very brave, like the Wild Things?" Theo asked, referring to his favorite book. A genuine smile broke through Isabella's tears. "Exactly like the Wild Things." Theo took another step, now within arm's reach. "Are you staying? If you want me to." Isabella's voice wavered. Theo turned to Daniel. "Dad, can she see my stars?" "Of course, buddy." Daniel's voice was rough with emotion. "Your mom can stay as long as you want." "Forever?" Theo pressed. "Like you promised me." "Forever," Daniel confirmed, meeting Isabella's tearful gaze. "If that's what you both want." Theo considered this, then reached into his pocket and pulled out his most treasured possession, the small hospital bear. "He helps when things are scary," he explained, holding it out to Isabella. "You can hold him if you want." Isabella carefully took the bear, treating it with the reverence it deserved. "Thank you," she whispered. "He's very brave, just like you." Something in her voice, or perhaps the gentle way she held his bear, seemed to make up Theo's mind. He closed the remaining distance between them and touched her arm softly. "Your eyes are crying." "Happy tears," Isabella assured him. "The happiest tears in the world." Theo looked back at Daniel once more, received an encouraging nod, then did something that made both parents' hearts stop. He stepped into Isabella's arms. She held him as if he were made of glass, her tears falling into his wild curls. "My baby," she breathed. "My beautiful, brave boy." Daniel watched them, his own vision blurring, as Theo gradually relaxed into his mother's embrace. The boy's small voice, muffled against her shoulder, asked, "Can you sing the dream song again?" Isabella began to sing softly, the Spanish lullaby filling the quiet terminal. Theo's eyes drifted closed, his small body finally letting go of years of tension. Daniel's phone vibrated. Updates about Richard's case, about the FBI investigation expanding, about reporters gathering at Martinez Industries. He silenced it all. Here, in this moment, none of that mattered. What mattered was Theo's peaceful expression as he listened to his mother's song. What mattered was Isabella's arms finally holding their son. What mattered was the way she looked up at Daniel with eyes full of hope and healing and possibility. "Welcome home," he whispered, and knew that for the first time in 5 years, all three of them were truly where they belonged. Dawn broke over Seattle, painting the sky in soft pinks and golds. Isabella stood at the window of the guest room, her room now, watching the city come alive. She hadn't slept, too afraid this would all prove to be another dream. A soft knock drew her attention. Daniel stood in the doorway, holding 2 steaming mugs of coffee. "Still take it with cinnamon?" The familiar gesture, he'd brought her coffee this way every morning during their college years, made her throat tight. "You remembered." "I remembered everything," He offered her a mug, maintaining a careful distance. 5 years of separation had created an invisible barrier, one they were both still learning to navigate. "Theo's still sleeping," he said softly. "Dr. Patterson says that's good." Feeling safe enough to sleep deeply, Isabella's hands tightened around her mug. "The basement, what they did to him, will help him heal." Daniel's voice was steady, grounding. "He's already showing remarkable progress." "I should have looked harder." The words burst from her, laden with guilt. "I should have questioned everything my father told me. Should have—" "Bella," Daniel's use of her old nickname, made her look up. "Your father had unlimited resources and decades of experience manipulating people. He fooled everyone, the authorities, the adoption agencies, even his own investigators. But I'm his mother." Her voice broke. "I should have known." "You did know." Daniel stepped closer, his expression intense. "You never stopped looking, even when everything seemed to confirm that Theo had been adopted by a European family. You kept searching. That's why your father had to keep moving him between orphanages, because you were getting too close." A soft sound from the hallway made them both turn. Theo stood in his rocket ship pajamas, clutching his bear, eyes wide with uncertainty. "Hey, buddy," Daniel said gently. "You're up early." "I heard voices." Theo's gaze darted between them. Is it still real?" Isabella's heart cracked at the question. She knelt, setting her coffee aside. "It's real, my love. I'm still here." Theo took a hesitant step forward. "Can we have pancakes?" "Of course we can." Daniel's voice was warm. "Want to help me make them?" "Can—" Theo glanced at Isabella. "Can Mom help too?" The word, so casual, so profound, brought fresh tears to Isabella's eyes. "I'd love to." The kitchen became their sanctuary that morning. Daniel showed Theo how to measure flour, while Isabella cut fruit into star shapes. Their son's delight at the simple activity was both beautiful and heartbreaking, evidence of too many simple joys denied. "Dr. Patterson's coming at 10, Daniel mentioned as they cleaned up. "And the FBI wants to do a follow-up interview about the orphanage network." Isabella stiffened. "What have they found?" "It's bigger than we thought. Your father wasn't just hiding Theo. He was involved in dozens of illegal adoptions. The money trail leads to offshore accounts and shell companies." "Mr. Harper," Michelle appeared in the doorway. "The U.S. Attorney's Office is on line 1, and the Boston Globe is requesting a statement about Richard Martinez's arrest." Theo pressed closer to Isabella, sensing the tension. She ran a soothing hand through his curls. "It's okay, my love. These are the good people. They're helping make sure the bad people can't hurt anyone else." "Like the police in my books?" Theo asked. "Exactly like that." Daniel squeezed his son's shoulder. "Why don't you show Mom your special reading nook while I take this call?" The reading nook had become Theo's favorite space, a safe haven filled with books and soft pillows. He proudly showed Isabella his growing collection, explaining how Daniel read to him every night. "And look," he pointed to the ceiling. "The stars come on when it gets dark. Dad says you can have stars too in your room." "I'd like that." Isabella settled beside him as he pulled out Where the Wild Things Are. "This one's special," Theo explained. "It was with me. Before, when things were bad." Isabella's heart clenched. Books can be good friends when we're scared. Dad says it's okay to be scared sometimes. Theo leaned against her hesitantly. "Are you scared?" "Sometimes," Isabella admitted. "But being here with you and your dad, it makes me brave, like the wild things. Even braver." Daniel found them there later, Theo dozing against Isabella's shoulder as she sang softly in Spanish. The sight made his chest tight with emotion. "The U.S. attorney wants to make a deal," he said quietly, not wanting to wake Theo. "Your father's lawyers are negotiating a plea agreement." Isabella's arms tightened protectively around their son. "Will Theo have to testify?" "No. We've made that non-negotiable. The evidence from the orphanage records is enough. And the other families, the other children? The FBI has a task force dedicated to finding them all." Daniel sat beside them, careful not to disturb Theo's rest. "Your testimony about Richard's methods will help, but only when you're ready." Isabella studied their sleeping son's face. "I'm ready now, for all of it. No more hiding, no more lies. We'll face it together." Daniel's hand found hers, bridging the gap of years with a simple touch. "All of us." Theo stirred slightly, mumbling in his sleep. Both parents froze, but he simply snuggled closer to Isabella, his small hand clutching her sleeve. I never thought, Isabella's voice caught. In all my searching, all my hoping, I never imagined finding both of you. Life has a way of coming full circle. Daniel smiled softly. Even if it takes a rare blood type and a brave little boy to make it happen. Speaking of brave, Isabella glanced toward Daniel's office. The house you mentioned, the one near the hospital, the offer was accepted this morning. 4 bedrooms, secure grounds, and, he grinned, a library perfect for story time. With stars? With all the stars we can fit. Theo shifted again, blinking sleepily. Mom, you're still here. Always, my love. Isabella pressed a kiss to his curls. Always and forever. As their son drifted back to sleep, secure between them, Isabella and Daniel shared a look of understanding. The road ahead would have challenges, therapy sessions, legal battles, healing old wounds. But here, in this moment, with their son safe and their family reunited, they had everything they needed to face whatever came next. Together, at last. The Victorian house stood proud against the Seattle skyline, its restored facade gleaming in the morning light. Moving trucks lined the quiet street as security teams conducted their final sweep of the property. Daniel watched Theo's eyes grow wide at the sight of the wraparound porch and bay windows. It looks like a castle, Theo whispered, gripping both his parents' hands. Wait until you see inside, Daniel smiled. Should we explore? The front door opened into a grand foyer where original woodwork merged seamlessly with modern security features. But it was the sweeping staircase that caught Theo's attention, its banister carved with intricate patterns. Look, Mom, he pointed excitedly. Dragons. Isabella knelt to examine the woodwork with him. You're right. And look, there are little stars hidden in the patterns too. Their voices echoed through the empty rooms, bringing life to spaces that had waited years for a family. Daniel followed them as they discovered each new wonder. The kitchen's breakfast nook with its view of the garden, the living room's window seats perfect for reading, and most importantly, the library. This, Daniel announced, opening the double doors, is for all of us. The 2-story room took Theo's breath away. Built-in shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, with a rolling ladder to reach the highest ones. A reading area by the fireplace held comfortable chairs and the ceiling. Stars, Theo gasped. I like our old room. Even better. Daniel pressed a button, and constellations bloomed across the entire ceiling, more elaborate than their previous setup. The whole room can become space. Isabella squeezed his hand, understanding the thought and care that had gone into creating this sanctuary for their son. Can we put my books here? Theo asked, already examining the lower shelves sized perfectly for children's titles. This whole section is yours, Daniel showed him. And look what else. He opened a hidden panel, revealing a small door sized for a child. Behind it, a cozy reading nook was built into the wall, complete with cushions and soft lighting. My own special place. Theo's voice held wonder. For when you need quiet time, Isabella explained, remembering Dr. Patterson's advice about creating safe spaces. But we'll always be right outside. Theo explored his nook carefully, testing each cushion, examining the small shelves built into the walls. Can I bring my bear in here? Of course, Daniel assured him. This is your space, buddy. You make the rules. While Theo arranged his bear and books in the nook, Isabella and Daniel's phones buzzed simultaneously. The U.S. Attorney's update was clear. Richard Martinez had accepted the plea deal. 25 years, Daniel read quietly. No possibility of early release, and he has to provide information about every family affected by the adoption scheme. Isabella's hand trembled as she lowered her phone. It's really over. Mom? Theo's voice drew their attention. He stood in his nook's doorway, concern crossing his small face. Are you sad? No, my love. Isabella moved to kneel before him. Sometimes grown-ups just need a moment to let go of old worries. Like when I get scared of the basement memories. Exactly like that. She brushed his wild curls back. But you know what helps with memories? What? Making new ones. Happy ones. Daniel joined them, sitting cross-legged on the library floor. Want to help us make some right now? I think those moving trucks outside have some special deliveries for your room. Theo's room, positioned between his parents' rooms, had been carefully designed to balance security with creativity. One wall featured a hand-painted mural of a forest under a starlit sky, while another held built-in shelves for toys and books. The window seat overlooked the backyard's sprawling garden, and most importantly, there were no dark corners, no hidden spaces that could trigger memories of the basement. As they unpacked boxes of new toys and books, Theo gradually relaxed into the space, his initial caution giving way to excitement. Each item was carefully chosen, therapeutic toys recommended by Dr. Patterson, books selected to help process trauma, and simple playthings meant to restore the childhood joys he'd missed. "Dad," Theo called from his new closet. "There's more boxes here. Those are special ones," Daniel explained, helping him pull them out. "For your memory wall." The concept had been Dr. Patterson's suggestion, a visual timeline of happy moments to help Theo understand his past and future weren't defined by the orphanage. Together, they began filling the wall with photos. Theo's first day home from the hospital, reading sessions with Daniel, stargazing with Isabella, and the drawing of 3 figures that had marked their reunion. "See?" Isabella pointed to the timeline. "This is our story, and look how many empty spaces we have to fill with new memories." Theo traced the photos with gentle fingers. "Can we add the castle house?" "Absolutely." Daniel pulled out his phone to capture their first moment in the library. "Want to take the picture together?" The resulting photo showed all 3 of them in the reading nook, Theo between his parents, all smiling despite tears in the adults' eyes. It went in the center of the memory wall, a new beginning. As evening approached, the house slowly came to life. Furniture was arranged, kitchen supplies unpacked, and security systems activated. But the real transformation happened in small moments. Theo's books finding their places on shelves, Isabella's medical journals joining Daniel's business texts in the library, family photos appearing on walls that had been bare for years. Their first dinner in the new house was simple, pizza on boxes in the library because the dining room wasn't set up yet. Theo thought it was magical, especially when Daniel turned on the star ceiling. "It's like a picnic in space," he declared, making both parents laugh. Later, as they prepared for bed, a small crisis emerged. Theo couldn't find his bear. The search party that ensued involved all 3 of them, finally discovering the stuffed animal had fallen behind a box in the library nook. "He was exploring," Theo explained seriously, clutching his recovered friend. "Like us." That night, after Theo was asleep in his new room, door open, nightlight on, both parents within easy reach, Daniel found Isabella in the library, staring at the memory wall. "Having second thoughts?" he asked softly. "About being here?" "Never." She turned to face him. "I was just thinking about all the spaces we get to fill, all the memories we get to make." "We have time now," Daniel reminded her. "No more running, no more hiding." "I never thought I'd feel safe again," Isabella admitted. "After everything my father did." "Hey," Daniel moved closer, careful to respect the boundaries they were still rediscovering. "You're not defined by what he did. None of us are." A small sound from the doorway made them turn. Theo stood there in his space pajamas, bear in hand. "Can't sleep?" Isabella asked gently. Theo shook his head. "The house makes new sounds." "Want to camp out in here tonight?" Daniel suggested. Under the stars, the impromptu sleepover that followed, blankets and pillows on the library floor, constellations wheeling overhead, Theo secure between his parents, became their first real memory in the new house. As their son drifted off to the sound of Isabella's lullaby, Daniel caught her eye over Theo's sleeping form. No words were needed. They were home, all of them, at last. 3 months into their new life, routine had become both anchor and comfort. Each morning began with breakfast in the sunny kitchen nook, Theo helping to make star-shaped pancakes while his parents worked in comfortable synchronization around him. The simple domesticity of these moments still caught Isabella by surprise. How natural it felt. How right. This morning, however, brought a different energy. Theo sat at the counter, pushing his pancakes around his plate while stealing glances at his parents. "Remember what Dr. Patterson said?" Daniel encouraged gently. "It's okay to feel nervous." Today marked a significant milestone. Theo's first day at his new preschool, carefully chosen for its therapeutic approach and extensive security measures. The school specialized in children who had experienced trauma, with a staff trained in attachment-based care. "What if the other kids don't like my bear?" Theo's voice was barely a whisper. Isabella sat beside him. "Remember what we practiced. Bear can stay in your special backpack pocket, right next to your heart, and if you need him, he'll be right there. And if I get scared, then Ms. Williams will help you use your calm down corner." just like we have at home, Daniel reminded him. And remember, Mom or I can be there in exactly 7 minutes. You counted? 3 different routes, Daniel confirmed, making Theo smile slightly. The drive to school was quiet. Theo sandwiched between his parents in the secure SUV. Security teams maintained a discreet distance, a necessary precaution while the FBI's investigation continued to uncover the full scope of Richard Martinez's network. As they approached the school, Isabella's phone buzzed with an update from the U.S. Attorney's office. She read it quickly, her hand finding Daniel's across the back seat. "What is it?" he asked softly. "They found another family," she whispered. "In Chicago, a mother who was told her baby died at birth, like the ones in Boston?" Theo asked, surprising them both. He was remarkably perceptive about the ongoing investigation, though they tried to shield him from the details. "Yes, my love," Isabella answered carefully. "The good people are helping more families find each other. Like you found me?" "Exactly like that." The school's entrance was warm and welcoming, with no institutional feel to trigger bad memories. Ms. Williams, Theo's teacher, greeted them with genuine warmth. "Look, Theo," she pointed to a reading nook similar to his one at home. "We have space for quiet time whenever you need it." Theo's grip on his parents' hands loosened slightly as he took in the classroom. Other children played in small groups, their activities clearly structured to promote safety and choice. "Would you like to see our library corner?" Mrs. Williams offered. "We just got some new books about space." The mention of his favorite subject piqued Theo's interest. He looked up at his parents, seeking permission and reassurance. "We'll be right here," Daniel promised. "Just getting some boring grown-up papers signed. And then," Theo's voice held a tremor, "then we'll say goodbye for a little while," Isabella explained gently. "But remember what we practiced. You can count the hours on your special watch, and when the big hand reaches the top twice, we'll be right back to get you," Daniel finished. "Promise." Watching their son take tentative steps toward the library corner, both parents fought back tears. It was a necessary step, they knew, but seeing him walk away, even in this safe, controlled environment, tested their own healing process. The morning passed in a blur of activity. Daniel coordinated with the FBI task force, providing documentation that helped identify more victims of the adoption scheme. Isabella worked remotely with her new position at Seattle Children's Hospital, where her experience with childhood trauma had proven invaluable. Their phones remained close, both watching the clock until pickup time, but no emergency calls came. Instead, Ms. Williams sent periodic updates, Theo reading with a small group, Theo sharing his snack with another child, Theo using his calm-down strategies successfully during a moment of anxiety. When they arrived for pickup, they found their son engaged in building a space station with blocks, another boy working quietly beside him. "That's Oliver," Mrs. Williams explained softly. "He's also experienced separation trauma. They seem to sense that in each other." Theo looked up, his face lighting at the sight of his parents. But instead of running to them, he turned to Oliver. "Want to finish the space station tomorrow?" Oliver nodded shyly. "Can we add more stars?" "Lots more," Theo agreed. "My dad knows all about stars." The ride home was filled with Theo's careful recounting of his day, the books he'd discovered, the new friend he'd made, the way Ms. Williams let him keep his bear in the special pocket. At home, as Theo added a picture of his first day of school to his memory wall, Daniel's secure phone buzzed with an urgent message. The news made him catch his breath. "What is it?" Isabella asked, noting his expression. "Richard's contacts in Switzerland," Daniel explained quietly. "The FBI found records of every child, every family. They can trace all of them now." Isabella's hand flew to her mouth. "All of them. Every single one." Daniel's voice held quiet triumph. "It's really over, Bella. He can't hurt anyone else." "Mom? Dad?" Theo called from his memory wall. "Can we add Oliver's picture tomorrow? He's my new friend." "Of course we can, buddy." Daniel moved to help him arrange the day's photos. "Want to tell Mom about the space station you're building?" As Theo launched into an elaborate description of his construction plans, Isabella watched her son's animated face, his growing confidence. 3 months ago, he could barely speak to strangers. Now he was making friends, planning future play dates, building a life beyond his trauma. Later that night, after Theo was asleep, Isabella found Daniel in the library, reviewing files from the FBI task force. "I keep thinking about the other families," she said softly. The ones still searching. They'll find each other, Daniel assured her. Thanks to your testimony, the task force knows exactly what to look for, how to trace the connections. I want to help them, Isabella decided. When they're reunited, the families, they'll need support, guidance, like Dr. Patterson helped us. Exactly. A program specifically for families recovering from separation trauma. The hospital would back it, and with your connections, Daniel smiled, recognizing the passion in her voice. Tell me more. As they planned into the night, their son slept peacefully above them, his bear close by, his new school picture added to the growing collection of memories on his wall. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new steps forward, but together they were building something stronger than the past that had tried to break them. 1 year to the day after the blood drive that changed everything, Daniel stood in the newly opened Family Reunification Center at Seattle Children's Hospital. The modern facility, funded by Harper Technologies and staffed by a team of specialists led by Dr. Isabella Martinez Harper, had already helped 28 families torn apart by Richard Martinez's adoption network find their way back to each other. Through the observation window, he watched Isabella lead a support group for recently reunited parents and children. Her gentle guidance, born from personal experience, had become instrumental in helping families navigate the complex emotions of reunion and recovery. Mr. Harper, Michelle appeared at his side. The final FBI report just arrived. The thick document detailed the complete dismantling of Richard Martinez's international network. 47 families reunited, millions in hidden assets recovered, and a web of corruption exposed across 3 continents. Richard himself remained in federal prison, his empire destroyed, his power broken. Daniel's phone chimed with a reminder. Time for school pickup. These days, Theo rode with his regular security detail, comfortable enough to make the journey without his parents, but special occasions called for family tradition. In the car, Daniel reviewed the latest updates from the center's legal team. The legislation they'd helped draft, aimed at preventing similar adoption fraud schemes, was gaining bipartisan support in Congress. Inspired by Theo's story, they called it the Stars Home Act. The elementary school playground was alive with activity when they arrived. Theo, now 5.5, was easy to spot. He had inherited Daniel's height and Isabella's graceful movements. He sat with Oliver and 2 other friends, deeply engaged in what appeared to be a serious discussion about their latest space project. Dad! Theo's face lit up as he spotted Daniel. Is it time? Right on schedule, buddy. Daniel accepted his son's enthusiastic hug, noting how freely physical affection came these days. Ready for your big surprise? In the car, Theo could barely contain his excitement. Is Mom meeting us there? She's finishing up with her group first, but she'll be home in time for the special dinner. With star cookies? Would it be a celebration without them? The house had evolved over the past year, filled now with the organized chaos of family life. Theo's artwork covered the fridge, family photos lined the walls, and signs of healing were everywhere, from the therapy tools naturally integrated into daily life to the confidence with which Theo moved through his world. Up to your room first, Daniel directed. There's something waiting for you. Theo bounded up the stairs, his father following at a more measured pace. The boys' room had grown with him, space posters replacing generic stars, chapter books joining picture books on the shelves. But his reading nook remained his special sanctuary. On his bed lay a carefully wrapped package. Can I open it? Let's wait for Mom, Daniel suggested, checking his phone. She's 5 minutes away. Those 5 minutes were filled with Theo's theories about the surprise, each more elaborate than the last. When they heard Isabella's key in the door, he nearly flew down the stairs. Mom, Dad says there's a surprise and we have star cookies and… Slow down, my love, Isabella laughed, catching him in a hug. Let me catch my breath first. Together, they returned to Theo's room. With both parents watching, he carefully unwrapped the package to reveal a leather-bound book. Our Story. He read the title slowly, fingers tracing the embossed letters. Open it, Daniel encouraged. Inside, they had compiled their family's journey. Photos, newspaper clippings, court documents, and personal narratives, all carefully curated to help Theo understand his history when he was ready. The first page held the hospital record of his birth, followed by early photos Isabella had managed to save. The middle section covered the years of separation, handled delicately but honestly, but the bulk of the book was devoted to their reunion and the year since. Countless moments of healing, growth, and joy. This is us, Theo said wonderingly, turning pages. All of us. It's our history, Isabella explained, sitting beside him. And look, there are empty pages too. For new memories? Exactly. Daniel joined them. Speaking of which, Mom and I have some news. Theo looked up expectantly. Remember how we talked about helping other families? Isabella began. Like Oliver's family, and the new children at your school? Theo nodded. The ones who got lost like me. Well, the center is doing so well. They want to open another one, Daniel explained. And they've asked Mom to help run it. Here, right here in Seattle, Isabella confirmed. Which means, we're staying forever. Theo's voice held both hope and certainty. Forever and ever, Daniel promised. This is our home. Theo hugged the book to his chest. Can we add that to our story? We'll add everything, Isabella assured him. Every star cookie, every school project, every space station, Theo grinned, referring to the elaborate Lego construction that now dominated one corner of his room. Everything that matters, Daniel agreed. Later that night, after the star cookies were eaten and new photos added to both the memory wall and the book, the family gathered in their library. The star ceiling twinkled above them as Theo, now confident in his reading, led them through Where the Wild Things Are, the book that had started their journey back to each other. The wild things roared their terrible roars. He read clearly, no longer afraid of monsters real or imagined. Daniel and Isabella exchanged glances over their son's head. In his office, the final FBI report lay closed, its contents now part of history rather than an active threat. In Isabella's bag, plans for the new center waited for tomorrow's review. But here, in this moment, they were simply a family, bound together by love that had survived separation, lies, and betrayal to emerge stronger. And Max sailed back. Theo continued reading. Secure between his parents. Over a year, Daniel said softly. Worth every second of waiting, Isabella finished. Through the library windows, Seattle's lights sparkled like earthbound stars. Somewhere in those lights, other families were finding their way back to each other, guided by the path this little family had helped forge. But in this room, under these stars, 3 hearts beat in peaceful synchronization. Finally, completely, home, the end, Theo concluded, closing the book with satisfaction. Then, looking up at his parents with eyes that held no more shadows, he added, But we're just beginning, right? Right, his parents confirmed together, their voices full of promise for all the stories yet to come. If you found out that a lie had completely changed the course of your life, separating you from people you've loved for years, what would your first action be upon discovering the truth? Forgive and rebuild, or seek justice first? Leave your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below, letting us know what you thought. Your feedback and support mean a lot to us. Stay tuned for more exciting stories.